the triple bottom line must be the basis of any hotel company strategy.
And where would you say that opportunity for profit and sustainability meet?
Every great travel journey begins with a question: where to next? And how do we protect what makes it beautiful? Welcome to the Conscious Check-In, the podcast where sustainable hospitality, unforgettable travel, and bold conservation stories collide. I'm your host, Amy Wald, and this is your Conscious Check-In.
If luxury hotels had passports, today's guest would have all the stamps. From Paris to New York, Hervé Houdré, I've been practicing, has shaped the world's most iconic properties, and now he's helping to shape the future of hospitality as the creator and global ambassador for the Forbes VERIFIED Responsible Hospitality program. Hervé, welcome to the Conscious Check-In. It is a true pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks, Amy. Pleasure is mine. It's great to see you, to hear you, and congratulations for everything that you do as well for sustainable hospitality.
Oh, thank you so much. If it wasn't for people like yourself leading, I have been studying your work, following you for a long time. So I have to thank you. You've really been a pioneer for this movement for so long. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about really quick, just to set the scene, because this is not only a sustainable hospitality conversation, this is also about just getting lost in travel, right? We all love to travel that are probably listening to this. So, Hervé, let's start off with a fun question, which is, if you were to arrive at your favorite hotel or anticipated destination, and a hotel, of course, what would be something or the one thing that you like to have in your minibar?
In my minibar? Yeah, I'm not too much of a bar person, so even less of a minibar. I mean, definitely cold iced water, but maybe the one thing in the evening, I like to have a Negroni. So that would be nice to have a ready to drink Negroni. You know, I don't want to go through the headache of creating it with things that I, don't know. But yeah, would love that.
Yes, that's a great one. And those ready-made drinks are so popular now.
Yes, and then sometimes hotels do prepare them themselves rather than buying them, which is much better, obviously. Yes. Yeah, it's always enjoyable.
Yes. Okay, that's great. Everybody always has a different answer. So I always love to ask that question. I think mini bars are one of those, you either can really capture a guest or, it's just a lost opportunity sometimes.
And these ready to drink cocktails are a great idea actually for hoteliers to make more money, because people do like that, and if you go farther, you can ask the guest before they arrive, would you like to have a cocktail or, in the evening or something, and then, give us your favorites, and then you can prepare it. So that's, attention to details and service. That'd be nice.
Anticipatory service, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Which so well. I'm literally getting goosebumps thinking about it, because you have run some of the world's most famous hotels, from Hotel Anthony in Paris, in New York, Hotel des Crayons, and I mean, you were also the chief operating officer for Kempinski Hotels, and you have written quite a few books. You've authored many things on sustainable hospitality and development. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're listening to this and you're hearing his tips on how to run your property, take note. Make sure you get a notebook out, because you have so much gold, so much knowledge to tell us. So, Hervé, would you give us the cliff notes on your hospitality career, and then what made you start to take notice of Could we be doing more in the hospitality world? Could we be doing better?
Well, just above my desk here, there's my personal motto for 35 years. As my first position as GM, it's always better. And I'm actually teaching my 3.5-year-old daughter the same, which is not always funny for my kids, but yeah, I mean, we can always do better. But then very, very briefly, I was born in an inn, actually, on the Loire River in France. So it really, the hospitality industry really flowed through my veins. And then went to a hotel school in Paris, and then worked with various groups, and really the group that really put me on the map, if I may say so, was at the time Trust House Forte, when I was an assistant manager at the Plaza Athénée in Paris. Then they asked me to open the Plaza Athénée in New York, and that was 1984. I was number 2 there. And then I went back to Paris, and I was the GM of the Hotel de Crillon for 8 years. And then back to the Plaza Athénée Paris, where I was the managing director of the hotel. And then became the chief operating officer of Kempinski, as you mentioned. And then I actually, I had this taste of America, and I eventually came back in 2004. So 21 years ago. I actually spent more than, a third of my life here in the US, became a US citizen, and very, very happy. And so, yeah, I came back to the US, working with Intercontinental Hotels, first as general manager, regional vice president of the Willard and Intercontinental for the Northeast. And then they asked me to move to New York and go through the sale, closure, renovation, and reopening of the Intercontinental Barclay in New York. So that was a nice journey, I must say. And 7 years ago, I started my own business, because you mentioned I wrote books. I didn't write that many, but I definitely did one thing which sort of as well put me on the sustainability map in 2006, when I published, or when Cornell actually, I published a memoir in 2004, but no one really paid attention. And then eventually Cornell contacted me, and I updated it, and then they published it in 2008. And I coined the term sustainable hospitality at that time, actually.
Wow.
So very, very involved. Try to really advocate, communicate a lot through articles, a lot of speaking, engagements in conferences or at schools as well. So yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about all this.
So tell me, was there a moment? What exactly made you start to think non-traditionally about hospitality, or the way it had been done for years before?
I don't know if there is definitely one moment that I can mention, but it's like it's in you. And again, born in the Loire Valley, you have beautiful river, you have the forest, you have the woods, you have hunting, and I'm not a hunter at all. I cannot even kill an ant, but my father was, and the whole surroundings were beautiful. So I think that was really my upbringings. But then over the beginning of your career and during your career, you always do things for people. And I love animals, yeah. And I think it just grew in me. And then one day I read this book called Cannibals with Forks from John Elkington. John Elkington is a fantastic person. I just happen to know him now very well. He wrote this book in which he coined the term triple bottom line: profit, people, planet. And that really was my aha moment. That's when I really said, oh, right, okay, I've done a lot of things. I never put them together in my mind. And then now, thanks to John, I was able to just very clearly have a business model in my mind. And I always said and advocated for the fact that the triple bottom line must be the basis of any hotel company strategy, any hotel strategy, and any company in the world strategy. And then you can start building your own differentiation strategy above that. But the basis should always be sustainability.
Couldn't agree more. This industry has such an opportunity to do good.
One of the best parts of a luxury hotel stay is that moment when you walk into your room, slip on your robe, and step into those plush slippers. They're meant to enhance a traveler's stay. But here's the issue. Hotels throw away over 500 million pairs of slippers every year. What's designed to exceed guest expectations has now become a massive problem. But the company Feel Goods has come up with the solution. Their spa quality slippers are built to last and designed for guests to take home, turning a disposable amenity into a lasting memory. For hotels, it means dramatically less waste and greater guest satisfaction. For travelers, it's a luxury you don't have to leave behind. And Feel Goods doesn't stop at slippers. Their Bodhi slides and sustainably sourced natural rubber flip-flops are stylish, supportive, and perfect for all those vacation miles. Hotels love them because they're not just another amenity. They're high-quality essentials that guests truly value and need. They feel indulgent and naturally become part of a property's sustainability story. Whether they're offered in room, at the spa, or in the boutique by the pool, they're an experience that keeps paying off. If you're a visionary hotelier asking yourself, how can I deliver that same level of luxury and comfort without adding to the waste? Feel Goods is your answer. And for travelers tuning in, shop the full collection at feelgoods.com. That's FEELGOODZ.com. Because real luxury should feel goods.
Ow! I feel good.
So John almost acted like maybe not an official, but in a mentor way to you. And I know that you've spent a lot of time mentoring others. Why have you felt that that was so important?
Well, if we have a full day and night to talk about the universe and why we are here and what's our purpose, then we can start. I mean, this is all about, what is it? What is the trace you're going to leave? What is what's your legacy? As a hotel general manager, or I'm sure any executive, when you talk to your staff, you talk to them about their professional legacy. What is it, that you'll be remembered for? Even, I'm talking about doormen, I'm talking about cook, about room attendants, and of course, executives. So always think about, your legacy. And I think there's nothing more beautiful than education and than transmitting everything that you know. And then hopefully people will take it from there and then, make it always better. So that's really very important.
Well, talk about leaving a legacy. You are definitely going to do that, but you've got a long time before that happens. You have a little girl.
Yeah.
So how old is your little girl?
So this one, she's 3. She would tell you, she would answer, I'm 3 years. Oh, yeah, I'm 3 years and 7 months.
Oh,
yeah.
A grown up, 3 years old.
Yeah, I have a rich personal life. So
yes, you do, and you should.
I have a son who is 38 years old. So you see, just figure it out. Yeah, life is beautiful, life is good, and it's what you make out of it, So, and she's teaching me so much still today.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's wonderful. So, all right, let's shift gears a little bit. I want to know, because one of my passions is animals and animal conservation, which I think hospitality and tourism has such a great not only responsibility, but opportunity. If you, Hervé, had to pick one animal that captures how you move through the world, what would it be and why?
If you ask me what's my favorite animal, I would say maybe a tiger, because I just love a tiger aesthetically, and I think they're very powerful, and I have a huge respect for them. I mean, I think they deserve a lot of respect.
In the beginning of my career, I thought a lot about the juxtaposition to sustainability and luxury. And there's a lot of people out there that would say those two cannot live in the same vein. What would you say to those people that say that? And what is, I mean, you are living proof that it can, because you've had such a robust career specifically in the luxury space. But what would you say about that?
I would start by asking them if they have children and grandchildren, because I think, to me, everything we do today should be for them. And too many times people in politics, particularly currently, all the time, but currently particularly as well, but people don't realize that they have their own legacy to give to their children and grandchildren. So even in business, I mean, of course, in your life as a whole, but in business life as well. So luxury and sustainability and profitability can work together. Of course, you are targeting a very specific audience when you want to, to open a luxury hotel. But what's very, very, very important is to really integrate sustainability, and we may talk about it further later on as well, but it's to integrate sustainability in the development and the concept, and then the development of the property, so that eventually you can really capture a lot more profit than you would have if you had not made your property sustainable as a whole.
And where would you say that opportunity for profit and sustainability meet?
So it really starts when someone who has a lot of money, or a company who has a lot of money, wants, and then as a vision, wants to develop a new project. That's when it starts. And then they have to have a real roundtable, I would say, with the architects, everyone involved, all the stakeholders. So the architects, the designers, the engineers, the general contractors, the operators should be around that table, because that's really when we could, the operators can bring some common sense as well of how to run a hotel eventually once it's open. So it starts there. Really create the concept and integrate sustainability into that concept, and really make sure that there's great communication, that all the goals of every stakeholder, of every trade, and again, starting with the ownership, obviously, all the goals are aligned, and then that you create KPIs, or for everyone should focus on the same roadmap.
Wonderful. So as we've discussed, your placement in hotels has been incredible. The Plaza Anthony in New York, Hotel des Crayons in Paris, where excellence really what is the standard for brands like that. How were you able to weave sustainability into those places where, perfection was really the expectation of guests, and there was no room for sacrifice?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Sometimes people feel that it's either, as you said earlier, it's either or. It can be both. I mean, first of all, I think I always say sustainability is to be local, meaning you want to hire local people. Yeah, you want to have local concepts, local designs, local, produce and products. So you want to represent, the local economy or the local culture, everything local within your property. And that's where it starts as well. it's not just a matter of, saying we're going to cut costs and because we want to be as sustainable as possible, because that's not what it is. When you want to marry luxury and sustainability and hospitality as a whole, you need to really, make everything well together. I mean, working well together. So being local is extremely important. Then when we say sustainability, of course, there's, the environment. We consider the environment mostly. But there's a lot about social responsibility as well that is sometimes forgotten. So if you look at the environment, and that's why I was saying earlier that it has to start at the very, very beginning of the roadmap, that the concept, the whole development and the concept must be well prepared so that people can, the owners and the operators eventually can really save costs and expenses, particularly with energy, obviously, and water, and as well the waste management. So these three pillars, energy, water consumption, and waste management, are extremely important. And of course, if we look at energy, it's all about being as energy efficient as possible. Insulation and all these things are really important. And then, of course, you can start looking at renewable energy wherever you are. It's not always easy. 20 years ago, I was starting to buy RECs for a hotel, for the Willard in Washington, renewable energy credits. And it gave me sort of a good feeling that, we were doing the right thing by supporting. And at that time, it did cost a lot more money than today by supporting the renewable energy business. So you can always try to find ideas to really make it as sustainable as possible within the location, of the hotel. And then there's one thing as well. To me, luxury is, you have your definition of luxury. I may have my definition of luxury. Everyone has their definition of luxury. So luxury is different for everyone. So there's one thing that I think it doesn't mean having, 10 soaps in a room, 20 towels and all these things. This may have happened 40 years ago, no longer, I think, now. So you can be, as efficient to run your property as possible by really looking at all these things, having procedures and making sure that there's no wastage of equipment and towels and things. And of course, we may talk later on about procurement, because I'm, of course, against even hard soaps now, but I'll give you my 2 cents on that. But so this is, what it is. I remember 2005, we could not have LEDs in America. There was no LED. They were all made in Japan, in China, and they would cost like $20 a piece or even more. So I was very frustrated at the time because I had read about them. And the return on investment when you change a bulb, as you know, is incredible, because in order to get the OPEX, the money to buy, the budget to buy these bulbs for a 335 room hotel, I had to do a little writing, to the ownership and say, if you consider the savings, don't consider them just for 1 year, consider them for the next 10 years or next, 9 years, because the fluorescent would last maybe 5 years. So consider them for 5 years. So these are the type of calculations you can make to really prove your case and really, engage the ownership or the management company to follow you, or the asset manager to follow you. So many things you can do to really be very cautious and conscientious of, running the place.
And you talk about renewable energy. One of the things that's very common now is you can, I realize it's a large undertaking to adopt, a full solar installation or something of that nature, but you can actually call your utility company and ask to opt in to their renewable energy program. It's not direct renewable energy, but you're at least creating a market for it. So, and that is, rarely is it much more than you're already paying. So I always like to remind, professionals out there that that's an option. So let's talk about the supply chain then. I know that that's something that you feel very passionate about. And you've long said sustainability isn't just a department, it's a mindset. So how do you see procurement, down to details like when you think about luxury spa, robes, in-room slippers, amenities, even flip-flops sometimes?
Well, procurement is the beast. I always say, we tell hoteliers what not to use, but we don't give them the answers of
Yeah.
what to use. We don't have the supplies, the sustainable supplies, that's our conversation today, to replace everything. So again, it starts with, having as less waste as possible. And then of course, as I said earlier, but I'll say it again for procurement, particularly, and buy as local as possible, so that already you really reduce, the carbon footprint of the transportation or whatever. And plus, if you buy local, you definitely support the local economy. So this is really a very important part of procurement. And now you're talking about bathrobes. Well, unless you give, it's really interesting. At one point, I worked for a linen company, just as they were my clients. And I started to read a lot and to learn a lot about textile. Well, guess what? I mean, everything we have, cotton is the worst crop there is. In order to grow cotton, there's a huge impact of insecticides and pesticides and an enormous amount of water that are being used. And this is this is what we have. I mean, linen is definitely a product that is great, but then as an operator, I know that we will open a luxury hotel with linen, and then 6 months later, we maybe switch step by step to cotton because there's it's very expensive, and it all depends. If you have your own laundry service, so that's fine. But if you have to go through industrial laundries, it's really terrible. So it doesn't last as long as you want, and it looks wrinkled, and it doesn't work. And it doesn't look luxurious. So sometimes, like for instance, if you're talking about that, I'm just an example, but if you have a placemat and that you have it in linen because you think that's the most luxurious thing, well, guess what? When it's ugly to look at, that's not luxury. So I'd rather have a hard placemat and something made locally that could replace this, and then I don't have to replace it. I don't have to wash it. I don't have to just have to clean. So these are the type of decisions that you can make, looking at it, in details for every point. So, as you said, the bathrobes and the flip flops or the sleepers in the rooms. They are now. I spoke recently to a company that they said they came up with. I just need to wait and receive the samples, but that they came up with some sustainable slippers. So
feel goods.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
They are an incredible company that have really just changed the trajectory of the way I think we look at like disposable in-room slippers. And I think that's just something. It's such that you can take home.
Yes.
They are, I think, designing a sustainable slipper for that one-time use. But right now they have these beautiful slippers that guests get to take home. It's like win-win. Now they remember you once they go home, and built for longevity, not just if you take a slipper home and it maybe lasts another week. I'm guilty of that. And yes, and I think they are an approved supplier for Forbes through Astria.
They will become what they are, maybe. Yes, you're right. Yeah. So
and they have flip-flops. Yes, they are. I knew that's who you were talking about.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's really great. And again, sustainability is a long journey, and particularly sustainable hospitality is a long journey. So as I mentioned, I started actually 21 years ago in 2004, and I'm so happy about where we are today. But there's so much more to do. And so when people are frustrated, I say just wait and do research. And now we have ChatGPT and whatever AI, and then just try to find what would match your needs locally, again, in your region. It's really very important to just do research and development as well, with the companies, and working with someone like Feels Good, maybe you can help them as well become better in terms of supplier.
Absolutely. And I think if you saw when you talk about flip-flops, I traveled to Indonesia back in 2017. I had no idea rubber literally came from trees. And so when you think about, we are extracting a natural resource, and they are trying to do it a very sustainable way. It's something that's very important to think about, and you can become part of that story.
Yes.
So it's a feel goods moment. I love that. I love the name too. It's very catchy. So let's talk about Forbes Verified. How did you become involved, and what does the program look like for your members of Forbes?
Well, I have a huge respect for many, many years for Forbes Travel Guide. Actually, respect and fear sometimes as a general manager. But yeah, definitely respect. They're very serious people. And so I've been working on and off with them for 5 years, but totally on for the past 3 years now as a contractor. And but I feel part of the family. I just love their purpose, to really make luxury hotels, as best as can be. So the verified program is not, so it's a verification program. And by the way, Forbes is a verification program for 67 years. It's not a certification. So that's the main reason why we didn't try to go into a certification program, which is very, it's a lengthy process to become certified to certify. And so and it's not the purpose of Forbes to really be a certification in the sustainable world. It's more, the purpose is really to ensure that the luxury hotels are doing what I was saying, like really trying to be as sustainable as possible. And we may even talk later on of regenerative, or just trying to be conscious of their impact on the local community again, but on the local environment as well, very importantly. So the verification program is really following actually the guest from the airport to the airport, meaning through check-in, check-out, minibar, in-room dining, restaurants, bar, pool, spa. So just following the same, I would say the same journey as a guest. And that's, so this is what it is. It's not, we're not really going in the back of house, except I could not create a verification program without having energy, water, and waste in the midst, because in the system, because it's really the basis as well of sustainability. But it's really looking at the use, having, if possible, and that would really be our aim, is to really try to avoid having single-use plastics in any hotel in the world. So it starts with because you can say to a guest, I'm responsible. So by the way, as much as I coined the term sustainable hospitality, for the past few years I've been using responsible hospitality. So may talk about that too. But so you cannot say to a guest, I'm responsible as a hotelier, and then first thing they see is having a plastic bottle, a water bottle upon arrival, and a plastic key in their hand. So this is our aim. Our aim is to really avoid all these things and really speak the truth as well, and it's for our friends on the travel advisors, in the travel advisors world as well, because we've heard them, and they most of the time complain that, first of all, they cannot find any information online, and then second, they say, I was told that they have such and such certification, or they're very sustainable, and then when my guests arrive there, they saw single-use plastic all over, or they have many examples of non-sustainable operational activities. So it's really important for us. It's really just to make sure that this is our what we bring to the party as well, what we bring to the hospitality industry, by helping them become more and more and more responsible.
And I think it's so unique that you explain it as you're really following the guest journey.
Yes.
And that's how you're making decisions about what's to be implemented. And that just makes so much sense.
Yes, it's very complementary actually to certain certifications. Well, that because the issue is people tick the box. They check the box and they say, okay, I'm done. Okay, energy efficiency, all right, I'm done.
Yes.
And but the way Forbes looked at it is really to try to help the hoteliers be, offer a luxury experience, still, having efficiency in the service, of course, and then obviously being as responsible as possible and profitable as possible. So
Yes.
this is where this verification program is totally different than a regular certification, which they have their value as well, obviously.
And so as you were, helping to create this, or creating it, I should say, what did you use as kind of guiding your criteria? Was it the Global Sustainable Tourism Council? Was it UN, Sustainable Development Goals?
All of the above and the experience. No, but definitely the two pillars of the creation of these verification programs are the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Global Sustainable Tourism Council criteria or standards. Just as an anecdote, I was on the board of GSTC at the very beginning, from 2010 to 2014, and we were courageous. We were funded originally by Ted Turner's United Nations Foundation, but then in a non-for-profit, you obviously do not make profit, and then you spend a lot of money eventually. So it was quite tough at the beginning, and then now I admire what they've successfully done, because they from 2010 to 2015, 25. It's only 15 years, but it's a different universe now, and they really are leading this world of sustainable hospitality, definitely.
Yes.
So I use them. I use their standards, definitely. I use the SDGs, as I mentioned, because I think what I like with the SDGs, that finally there's a common language.
So, what would you say that this will become, shift brand loyalty? Do you think sustainability will start to move the way that people, travel, choose their hotels and where they go?
I want to say, and I want to think that it already has, in a way, but the other way, maybe not the way you express your question, but the other way, meaning like all the companies, as I mentioned at the very beginning, like I always considered that sustainability was supposed to be the basis of the strategy of companies. And now when you look at all the big, hotel management companies, they all have a serious sustainability strategy or ESG strategy now. So I think they're all into it. And then when you look at each of the brands, they have fantastic brands in the luxury, and they're all very serious about it as well. Plus or minus, of course.
Yes.
There's things which can have some flows, but yes, all the companies are very serious. So now it's like those who do not have a sustainability strategy, they may suffer, but hopefully they will, they'll get the remedy quickly. And then again, it's to communicate about what you do or what you have done, but not what you will do. It's really important versus the guest, and that's another aspect of our reflection with Forbes Travel Guide, which is really to make sure that the guest really trust. And Forbes Travel Guide has an incredible trust from hotel guests and travel advisors. So we have this responsibility as well to make sure that they can keep trusting what we say. The hotels have to really make sure that whatever they say they do, they better do, because it will be seen or felt by guests.
I think that's very important. But I think it was also very strategic on Forbes' part, because let's say you are of a younger generation and you're not as familiar with Forbes, but now you want to travel somewhere that you trust their sustainability, actions. Now you find those verified hotels, and now you become more familiar with the Forbes brand.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. You're right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Again, it may not have been the exact source of the program, but I think you're right. It's a way of expanding the image of the company. Yeah.
Well, and it's to your point, continuing to talk about profit. I think that we too often focus. Of course, we want to preserve our beautiful world and everything in it, but there is a way to do both. And I think that just proves that there is a way to drive business through being responsible and making responsible choices.
Right, and there are. I mean, there's a lot of luxury hotel companies out there who are doing an incredible job actually at doing both. Yes, offering luxury experiences, what the guests are looking for now, and still having as less an impact as possible on the environment. Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about the consumer, the traveler. More and more travelers are informed. They're intentional than ever before. I think ever in history, we see people making choices based off what we've just talked about. When you think of that modern traveler, that conscious traveler, what do you think that they crave the most from a hotel experience today?
I think they're looking for meaningful experiences. I mean, we always say experiences, but I would say meaningful experiences, something that really will remain as an incredible memory for them. I think they want, of course, indulgence. They're on vacation or they're traveling and they're staying in a luxury hotel. So they want to have great service. They want to have, great food products and everything. They want the hotels as well. I'm thinking about food, by the way, and it's part of what I really believe in. Like, hotels must consider the dietary restrictions or the particularly conditions of hotel guests as well. So we must offer menus where people can feel comfortable eating in our restaurants as well. So the guests today, as I said, experiences, meaningful experiences. They want to have to feel that the hotel cares, and not just for them, but as well for their local environment and local people. That they really want to experience the local culture. They want it in the hotel. They want to be able to experience it outside the hotel as well. So I think it's really, at the end of the day, it's really going back home with incredible memories, and that will really remain. And then the feeling that they want to come back, or they want to send their friends or their family, over there, in wherever they were staying.
I always go ahead.
So I have some. I'm sorry. Yeah, just
please.
Memories of hotels in safari in Africa, and these hotels they do it naturally. They're just there, and they're really, everything is local because they cannot just go 300, 400, 600 miles away to pick up some butter or whatever. So everything is local, and I think we have a lot to learn from these people. One day I love safari, and then one day I was there a long time ago, and I realized that there was a whole village which had been created behind the hotel, and I asked to go and visit it, and I was not the only guest. And that's the type of experience that I enjoyed as well, and that hopefully today in every location, not just in Africa, but in every location, guests can enjoy.
And I even think about European hospitality. To me, that's kind of the foundation of sustainability. As an American, when you travel to Europe, namely France and Paris and Italy, places like that, you don't get plastic. There's a lot of fundamentals about sustainability that I learned just from traveling to different countries and realizing that we kind of got it backwards. It's a little bit more about true convenience, but when you really think about it, is it convenience? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, my father was the chef in the hotel I was born in, and I never saw him use, plastic wrap and
Yes.
things like that. They didn't even exist.
No.
And just cloth that you would, he would make them wet and then just put them on the, on the food or anything. So, yeah, I mean, we just have to go back to where we were. Yeah. And then the village where I grew up, 50 years ago, the supermarkets would not give you any shopping bag. They would have all the empty boxes of everything that they received, that they had put on the shelves, and you would just pick up a cardboard box, and then you would just put your things in it. That I'm talking more than 50 years ago, even though I'm 22 years old. But it's just like, it's we just have to go back to the roots, and again, think of the future as well. Think of the future generations.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on the last couple of questions. I know that you have to run and take your daughter to classes. And so we want to let you go, but I've got two. Speaking of legacy, these are kind of legacy questions. So my first question is, Hervé, what's the one feeling you want people to leave with when they leave a Forbes verified responsible hotel?
That Forbes is a great company, that they are serious people who are really delivering on the aim, which is again the aim is that the hoteliers look good, that the guests will feel that whatever was said to them or whatever was, on the website or whatever they were informed with has happened and is happening. So we just launched the program not even a year ago. So it may take 2-3 years to really, grow and be, be visible, more visible. But this is the aim. The aim is that when the guest leaves the hotel, they feel that everyone has done their job, Forbes, and then, and of course, the hotelier, more importantly.
Yes, that they're genuine, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a great aim. All right. And then the last question is, finish this sentence. Sustainability in hospitality matters because it has the power to
impact the world.
Mm.
And in that particular case, maybe I would say responsibility. I think, again, I supported that word for a long time, sustainable hospitality, but it became a concept. And I feel that colleagues sometimes, those who are not that passionate about it, feel it's just another marketing concept or something going on. So I really feel that by using responsible hospitality or responsibility, it should go to their heart, to their soul, more than just to their brain, if you see what I mean. Like, we all have a responsibility on earth. And I really hope that they understand that they have the responsibility of the impact of their property or of their operations. I'm sorry. Or their operations towards the local environment that they live in.
Hervé, we have to let you go. I know you have something to do, and I don't want you to be late. I thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me.
Thank you.
Getting to learn about the incredible work that you've done, you're continuing to do, and we hope that we inspired not only the hoteliers out there, but travelers to make sure you're making responsible choices when you travel.
Today's episode was made possible by Feel Goods, the sustainable slipper redefining luxury hotel amenities, because the best memories aren't disposable. Learn more at feelgoods.com. That's FEELGOODZ.com.
This has been your Conscious Check-In. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you these conversations And don't forget, wherever you're headed next time, travel deeper and stay inspired. We'll see you next time.
That was your Conscious Check-In. Until next time, travel deeper and stay inspired. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and let us know who you'd love to hear from next. The future of travel and the planet depends on it.